residents, both new and old alike, we are all more than familiar with the Belleville Independent Newspaper, as it has served local journalism in our community for the last 31 years, beginning in 1995. Over the decades, the city has seen many papers come and go, but this paper has withstood the test of time as our city's last remaining newspaper. Unfortunately, that might be no more, as on June 30th, Rosemary Osman has retired as editor for the Belleville Independent, leaving us with new editor Sarah Rigg. But with no promise that the paper can stay open, based on how much money is raised at the Belleville Independent's fundraiser this Thursday on July 16th. Back in May 2025, Rosemary and Janet Millard filed with the state of Michigan to create the nonprofit Belleville Area Newspaper Foundation as a way to find willing donors to give funds. This May, on the 7th, a meeting was held at the library to discuss the effects of having no paper in many of our neighboring counties and how, if we're not careful, that could possibly trickle down to us. These major points were made by Wayne State University's Dr. Haig Ashkan. This meeting is where this Thursday's fundraiser was originally announced. What is your history with the Belleville Independent and journalism in general?
Well, I don't really have a lot of background in journalism. I'm a retired high school teacher, and I taught social studies for 20-something years at high school, and I retired about a year ago.
Is this what led up to you becoming president of the foundation?
At a meeting, I kind of looked around the table and I said, we've got to get moving a little faster because the clock is ticking. And so they looked at me, and we don't have a huge board. We're slowly adding to the board. So they just looked at me and said, well, do you want to be president? And I did.
What was the foundation's process for planning this Thursday's fundraiser?
Well, for the fundraising, we set that date up a while ago. And then we've been slowly working on it. We're going to have a sit-down dinner. And the dinner itself is not going to raise a lot of money, but the key to the dinner is bringing in sponsors for the paper.
If at least $100,000 isn't raised at Thursday's fundraiser, is it possible for the paper to stay open at any capacity?
Oh, yeah. Well, see, the way being a treasurer for the Belleville Council for the Arts, the way a nonprofit works is money comes in, money goes out. And we're not going to raise that much money Thursday night. But we've also can now apply for grants. So we did receive a grant from Wayne County for technology. So we can update our online presence and use some of that money for those purposes. We can't use it for salaries and things. And several members of the community have sponsored. So it's a good start, but we don't need all that money at once. Key for this was to get through July and August, put a new staff in place, get it running. Because if you want to have sponsors, you got to prove to people that the paper is going to be good and it's going to be here.
So if the paper isn't able to get a lot of sponsors Thursday, then what would be the next step for preserving journalism in our town if unfortunately it comes to the point where the paper does have to close?
I don't think that's going to happen. $100,000 sounds like a lot of money. Money will come in and money will go out. And then I'm thinking we get through July and August, and we put a budget together for next year. Things we'll know what we actually need.
As a journalist who has had over 20 years of experience freelance writing throughout Southeast Michigan, how familiar are you with Belleville?
I'm very familiar with Belleville. I actually have been in journalism over 30 years because I started in my high school newspaper. And I freelanced a lot, but my first staff job, my first full-time staff job was in Belleville at The View, which it used to be right across the street from the Independent. So I spent 5.5 years reporting on Belleville, the Strawberry Festival, school board, city council meetings. Quite familiar with Belleville and getting back up to speed on what has changed since I was out here more regularly.
And you've written many diverse different stories, ranging from topics such as how healthcare in America affects immigrant families, to bloggers online, to women working in male dominated career fields. Are you looking to bring a more diverse news angle to news here in DeVille?
Absolutely. So my plan is to continue what Rosemary Otzman was doing, which was a lot of reporting on civic meetings, municipal meetings, police logs, all the sorts of stuff that she used to do. But also, I would like to start bringing in maybe more youth sports and kids and more about new local businesses. I really want to respond to whatever the community would like to see more of in the paper.
Would you be open to maybe having like the community write to you about what they'd want to see in the paper?
Absolutely, and we love letters to the editor, but you can call me, write me, email me, whatever. Let me know what you would like to see in the paper.
That sounds great. And are you interested in reporting on stories that happen in our neighboring communities or even just on socials as well?
To a certain extent, but I think it's really important for local papers to keep things local. You see, a lot of times these small local papers will get bought up by a larger chain, and then they will shove in a lot of news from surrounding communities. I want the newspaper to be like 90% Belleville, Van Buren, Sumter news, and maybe occasionally if it's something that seems relevant in Canton or Romulus.
Any additional factors you'd like to improve upon the Independent?
Right now it's just really minor changes, like changing up some fonts and putting some ruler lines in to make the copy look a little neater. But I think over time, the paper is going to look a little bit different. Hopefully, more reader friendly, but give it a little refresh.
We hope to see you all here at the Belleville Yacht Club this Thursday, July 16th from 6 to 8 p.m. to help keep journalism and our paper alive in Belleville.